In Star Wars Jedi Survivor, one of the things everyone is trying to figure out is which are the best skills to upgrade early, and in this video that's exactly what we're going to discuss. Jedi Survivor has 9 skill trees, and depending on your playstyle, some of these skills will be necessary to unlocking Cal's full potential, and probably the most fun you're going to have in this game. Now, before I get into the video, I am giving away a free copy of Jedi Survivor when my Clips channel reaches 1,000 subscribers. Right now it's sitting at 650, so if you aren't subscribed over there, make sure to head over and drop a sub, and then comment below on this video which platform you'd like to win the game on. Now, getting into which skills you should be leveling up early, it should essentially focus on 1 or 2 lightsaber stances. Taking your favorite stance to use and focusing a lot of your skill points on that to really unlock the full ability of your favorite combat stance. For me personally, I focused on the dual blade lightsabers to start and did a little bit of upgrading on my double bladed lightsaber as well, but didn't really level up the other stances until later on when I had spare skill points. Also, if you're struggling to get skill points quickly, you will want to go to Z's shop in Pyloon's Saloon and purchase the Wisdom perk, which is going to give you bonus XP when equipping it, making it much easier to gain XP and skill points. Now, going into all the skill trees, we're going to start with all the lightsaber stances first, and then we're going to go into the Force skill tree and the survival skill tree afterwards. So if single bladed lightsaber style is your favorite, there's going to be a few skills that you want to get first. But in saying that, it's pretty average in my opinion. The single bladed lightsaber stance is one of my least favorite, and I don't think I see myself using it very much at all, which is why I don't currently have it upgraded. Now, to be honest, really the only 2 skills I think in this skill tree are actually worth getting are unfortunately 2 that are towards the top, the dash strike and the aerial dash strike. Now, these 2 in my opinion are great for helping you close the distance on enemies, but it's just one of those things where you're going to have to go through a couple of unlocks first before you can get there. So you are going to have to do lunging strike, aerial assault before you can get the dash strike, and then obviously the following after that, and unlocking those 2 skills. Now they are going to be the best ones for you on this stance, and in combination with some force abilities, like it can be kind of fun. And if you're a single bladed purist, like some people I know are out there, this is going to be the 2 slots that you kind of want to fill first. But moving on to the double bladed lightsaber, as you can see now, this is one of the skills that I have maxed out in my skill tree as well as the dual wield, but we'll focus on double blade for now. A few of the ones that I think are really good in this ability is the Vortex Dive. This one is such a fun ability to use, and if you guys are using this, you're going to understand just how good it can be. With the area of effect that this covers, it can be really effective against a whole group of enemies, but it can also be really useful against bigger enemies as well. So things like the Rancor or any of those large enemies that you find out in the wild, then you can definitely go through and take out them and do a lot of damage with this because it hits multiple times each time you go through. The other one that I've had a lot of success with is Endless Hurricane. This one adds a whole bunch of attacks onto your attack chain, and after unlocking Gathering Tempest, this is just the next progression up, and it's something that's really, really fun. Now, one that's probably not as good, but definitely is really fun to use is the Controlled Throw. Controlled Throw, if you didn't know, allows you to throw out your lightsaber and hold it out there, and you can essentially control it into the enemies, attacking them and kind of just toying with them. It's the funniest thing to use. It really is a cool ability, and if you guys haven't unlocked it yet to try it out, you definitely need to at least do it at some point. Even if you do a skill point reset just to level up this combat style to the max and get it and try it, I think you guys will really enjoy it. Next up, we're going to move into the dual wield stance, and this is my absolute favorite stance. Anyone that watched yesterday's video on ranking the combat stances, you guys know this one was at the top of my list. I think just so many of the abilities in this skill tree are really useful and really complement the playstyle well. The backstep slash being your first ability is such a crucial one because it does allow you to get in and out really quickly and do a good amount of damage, as well as keeping your distance. This is a direct reflection of the playstyle you want with this lightsaber stance. As far as the 2 on the right here, Uncoiled Strikes and Serpent's Bite, like yes, they're good, but really I don't think they're 100% necessary if you want to unlock the best skills first. I would be going left as opposed to going right on this skill tree. The Split Reflection, while good, probably isn't really necessary until later either. The Focus Parry and the Precision Release is where I really want to put my attention. Now, this skill in itself is extremely powerful, allowing you to automatically parry anyone that does a normal attack on you. This doesn't include the red unblockables, but any trooper or enemy that is going to do a normal attack on you, it will automatically parry them and follow it up with a series of attacks. Now, the precision release being the better of the two, obviously follows up with a large attack following this ability. And it does have an AoE as well, so it can provide a bit of damage against multiple enemies if they are in the vicinity. Whereas if you're just unlocking Focus Parry, then obviously it's still going to be good, but not quite as good. Once you get to the top of the skill tree, the Twin Vipers is cool and the Dancing Blades is really cool. But again, as far as effectiveness in combat and how much damage they do, not fantastic, but still really exciting to watch. Getting into the Blaster stance, and now I have a few tips for this and I'm going to do full breakdown guides on each of the stances, but this one, I just have a couple of quick tips to go over in here as well. While most of the skills on this tree are pretty average and pretty boring, considering all they do is reduce the time to charge your blaster shot or add extra ammunition or ways to charge up your clip, there is one skill right at the top, which is the Quick Draw skill that you're going to want to have unlocked. This allows you to shoot multiple enemies at once and essentially charge up the blaster like Lando's Sharp Shot in Battlefront 2. This ability is really cool when you get a full effect of it and you shoot multiple enemies at once. It's really a satisfying feeling. But in saying that, there are a few other skills that you're going to need to have this be fully effective. One of the things you're going to want is as much force as possible. If your force meter is bigger, this can actually lock onto even more enemies, and it does charge and chew through the amount of force that you have. So if you haven't upgraded your force quite yet, you're probably going to want to do that, because one of the best combos you can do with this stance is lifting your enemies up in the air and freezing them there, and then loading up the Quick Draw and taking out all of them while they're essentially stuck floating in midair. It's really satisfying to watch, and I think you guys will enjoy it. So make sure you're upgrading your force alongside if you are playing the Blaster stance as one of your mains. Getting into the Crossguard stance, again, this wasn't one of my favorite stances, but I still think it is pretty cool for what we have it as. I was hoping this was going to be more like Kylo Ren's Crossguard and not like a big broadsword, like heavy thing that we're swinging around. Up the left side of the skill tree, you do have Impact and Greater Impact. I think these are both really cool abilities. They're not hugely damaging, but they are really satisfying to watch. Essentially, Cal's going to take his Crossguard Saber and slam it into the ground, shooting out like a shockwave towards enemies. And you can have a really good effect with this when you are taking on multiple troopers at a time, if they are standing in a straight line. I would have liked the upgraded Greater Impact to have more of an AoE and sort of go wider or essentially around him in a circle. That would have been pretty cool, but this is still a good one to start with. As for all the other ones, a lot of them are really just big heavy swings and they're kind of slow, so not exactly my style of gameplay. I like to be quicker, so this one wasn't exactly great for me. But the Rolling Thunder is really cool as well, where he pretty much just yeets the lightsaber at as many people as possible and takes out a whole bunch of troopers that are in a straight line. So if you guys are looking to upgrade this early, I really would just go left and upgrade the Impact and Greater Impact because they are flashy and cool. The rest of them kind of feel like you're just swinging your normal attacks around until you get up the top of the skill tree where you can get Rolling Thunder. As for your force abilities, again, there are some things that you should be leveling up right away, like your maximum force. This is one thing that can also be upgraded throughout playing the game when you do get things that are unlockable. But if you guys max out your force abilities and give yourself the most opportunity to use this, there are just so many more combinations that you open yourself up to, including that one I was just talking about in the Blaster stance. As for everything else, it's kind of just upgrading your hold, or channeled energy is essentially regaining force when you're blocking enemies, and swift focus is performing precision evades will increase your force as well. So not really necessary, but I'm starting to level these up just to max out my skill trees. As far as telekinesis goes, this one is really fun. This is the one that gives you the most amount of power and makes you feel like a true Jedi. Things like twin pull or unrelenting pull to yeet your enemies towards you, yank them in close so that you can get a good amount of hits on all of them at once is really effective. As for going up the right side of the tree, I saved this for last. I didn't really take the push until right at the end, but going up the middle, the soaring lift is really, really cool. Being able to pick up larger enemies and then just slam them into the ground. Things like gravitational mastery and the power lift are so satisfying to use. You can essentially, with these three skills here, lift up a whole group of enemies and slam them face first into the floor. And basically power slamming them with these top tier here, you can just pin everyone down. It's so good, so satisfying, and it leads to a whole bunch of follow-up attacks. This works really well if you are using the crossguard or the double-bladed lightsaber, because you can kind of pull the group towards you with these abilities down here in close, pick them all up in the air, slam them into the ground, and then follow up with strikes from the double-bladed lightsaber, hitting pretty much all the enemies at once. As far as confusion goes, I didn't really focus on upgrading this one bit. I think confusion is one of those things that, yeah, while cool and you do use it occasionally throughout the game, it's not something I found myself going to. I prefer to feel more like a Jedi by taking everyone out myself than controlling someone to do it for me. But in the saying that, if you want to use it, then cool, upgrade away, go for it. And they're all just kind of upgrades to how many things you can control, what you can control, the length that their mind control stays under effect for. They're standard upgrades, basically, is what I'm saying. And finally, as we get onto the survival skill tree, you can always upgrade the maximum health for Cal. This is again something that you can upgrade from just playing the story too. But I think the improved stim and the perfected stim formula are the two you really want to get as soon as possible. So going straight up the left side of the skill tree, basically with these three right here, just so that you can get the max amount of health back each time you use a stim. Especially for those of you playing on Grandmaster, this is what you're going to want to upgrade very, very early. And then the teamwork perk, like, it's cool, but it's not necessary. It just reduces the time for BD1 to stim you. But if you are playing against quicker enemies on Grandmaster, again, probably a good one to have. So that wraps up pretty much all of the skill tree elements that you want to be looking for depending on your playstyle. Again, like I said, I've played the double bladed and the dual wield, and I've obviously maxed out these skill trees now, but the directions I was talking about before is probably the first way that you want to go. Anyways, I hope this video was helpful for you guys. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We are on our way to 50,000 subscribers, and I'm really excited to get there. Also, for those of you that did get down through the whole video, make sure you comment Cal in the comments below. I want to see who made it all the way to the end so I can say thank you. And once again, I do appreciate you guys watching the channel. With that said, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you all for clicking on another one, and may the force be with you always.